A few weeks ago, Josh Lionel introduced me to Victoria and said, you guys should have a chat. And so we did. And we recorded that conversation, and that's what you're about to listen to. Victoria is a physiotherapist and running coach, and she is down to earth. She has an empathetic approach to her coaching and to her content. Today we had a conversation about all things running and dogs, and also we got into the gritty stuff about elitism in the sport and the challenges of making so much content for social media.
I went to pet a dog when I was very young, and it bit me on my face, and I cried to my mom, it was my fault, my mistake. I've always been I've always been very, dog obsessed, and my dog right now, he's an only dog. He's probably going to say that way, but once he goes across the Rainbow Bridge, I think I'm going to get, quite a few after that at the same time.
I think it'll be difficult. So. I think it'll be difficult. We say this, when we get a dog, there's no going back. It's not like you can have a dog and then suddenly be a, dogless.
Exactly.
I
no,
don't
you
think
can't.
It happens. I remember when my dad's first dog died, it was like, my dad was like, oh yeah, we'll have a rest, be able to go on holiday. But a big part of his morning was missing, and yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I'm a lover of all breeds, but it is important to me. In theory, it is important to me that I can run with my dog, because
that's a big one. But that's also what I thought as well. Yeah. And my dog does not like to run with me. He's fair. Not. He did when he was younger, and he had just endless amounts of energy. But now I kind of like the peace that I have with him on our walks. Yeah. And then the peace that I have with... I'm also... I don't know about you, but I'm a very lonesome, solitary runner. I occasionally like to join clubs here and there. Maybe for the New York City Marathon next weekend, I'll join a run club, shake out something. But 99.9% of my runs are on my own. And I also really like that. But I agree. If my dog loved to run, I would like that bonding experience. I
think I've got this idea of it, often the idea of it is enough. But I've got this idea of running over the hills with I don't know, like a Hungarian Vizsla or something.
Vizsla. So I'm actually Hungarian. So my parents are Hungarian. I see that in my future. Hardcore see a Vizsla in my future. I know it's going to happen one day.
Yeah, well, we are similar in that sense. I'm really not. I'm very much a solitary runner. I've been known to talk shit about run clubs.
Me too.
But not because I don't like the idea of getting together. I think that's a really great thing, and that's why I try not to lean in too much. But I've been running now for 13 years. It's something that it was very much my thing. I was saying to Lou earlier, it's this sounds stupid, right? This sounds a bit stupid, but because this is, it's like you're going to be like, duh, catch up. But I suddenly had this realization. I was watching a video on Instagram, and it was a cool looking dude, sporty kind of jock looking guy. Mm-hmm. And he was about to say something about running. And my immediate reaction was, well, he's gonna take the piss because he's a cool kind of sporty guy, right? So because running's not cool, he's gonna take the piss because that's where I'm at still in my head. And then he starts just talking about running, we all do it, it's running, it's the cool thing to do. And I know this sounds dumb, but I was like, since when was running cool?
Since High Rocks.
That sounds ridiculous now because obviously we've got this running boom. I always celebrate the running boom, and it's amazing. Right. But running is always the uncool thing I used to do.
Totally.
Now it's a cool thing to. It's honestly, the other day when I watched it, or maybe it was today, I genuinely was had this mad realization. I was like, oh yeah, people, a lot of people are running now.
People love running. Running's cool.
Not just Because I've been in this running world for so long. It's like I don't really notice that there's a boom necessarily, only because it's just I've always been talking about running. I don't know. Do you get
that? I'm right there with you. I've been running for a very long time. I ran my first half marathon when I was 12 years old with my mom. And it was, obviously social media wasn't a thing. And you didn't do it to post about it. You just did it because, it was something to go do on a weekend. It was something to spend your time training for. And, training looked very different, AKA like basically non-existent back then. But it was a special, kind of like what you were saying earlier, the community aspect can come in so many different forms. It was really cool to be a part of something when I ran that. And that's where my spark and my love for running really started. Like, I remember running in that race and people were like, oh my gosh, like while we're running, they're like, how old are you? This is so cool that you're doing this. Wow. And my mom was like so supportive and she loved every second of it. And crossing that finish line, I was like, this was so much fun. Like, I had a great time. And that community to me was something that I'd never experienced before. And this was back in, believe it was like 2000, 2003, 2004, when I was young. So yeah, it's weird how much it has changed. Social media has changed it a lot for good reasons and bad reasons. But
I've contributed to it as well. Like,
totally beyond.
Just to interrupt my conversation with Victoria, this week the episode is sponsored by Soar. Soar make the most premium, best kit you can buy. And I'm proud to say they're a UK-based company. They've not been around all that long, but they have taken the running industry by storm. Well known now to have some of the nicest kit you can buy. If you really want a premium piece, you want to gift it to someone for Christmas, or you just want to treat yourself to what will be the nicest t-shirt in the drawer. Go to soarrunning.com, SOAR running.com, and check it out. Thank you, Soar, for your support in sponsoring the podcast.
Yeah.
It's a hard... I don't know... Sometimes I don't know how I feel about it. And I've spoken quite openly on this very podcast about my struggles with social media. Sometimes I ungratefully sit thinking, I wish social media wasn't part of my, like, livelihood. Now it is. Like, so it's... And, like, I'm so hooked on it. And I struggle with it, to be fair. Like, I think, like anyone, you can be aware of the dangers of social media, but still be victim to them. Like, just being aware of it doesn't stop you from falling into the comparison trap, or like, even if it's not like explicit comparison, it's just a constant noise and bombardment of running information and opinions and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert in general? I know that's kind of a loaded question because we can be both. But it's a spectrum. But like, I have always kind of considered myself an extrovert, but ever since being on social media, I almost don't even reach out to people in real life as much anymore because I'm just so exhausted at the end of the day from being online constantly. And I don't think people realize like how fatiguing it is to constantly have information, breaking news, this new thing, this new piece of research, this new thing that you can see, this new workout, all of the stuff. And I mean, again, like, I consider myself, I like talking to people. I'm not like, for example, my husband's very introverted and he gets really tired from like going out and having a dinner with people. I get, more excited and I get more lively when I'm in those spaces and he doesn't. But I found that since my social media has increased, like just me being on there and posting my own stuff and consuming all of it, I'm like exhausted to do that. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know. But I think there is a connection because I'm tired by the end of the day. I have to set boundaries, turn off my phone, not look at Instagram, not get emails. And like sometimes I watch TV, sometimes I read, sometimes I take my dog for a walk and I like don't even, take my phone out. And those are really the only ways where I'm like, okay, peace in my mind. And I never used to be like that. Like I used to call my mom and, not that I don't call her, but it used to be very constant. And I find it's not anymore. It feels like tiring now.
I find I love to think that I can be disciplined with it, but in reality, I'm not very, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I think, like I'm, like I like to think I have these like rules.
Yeah.
Where for a long time I was only allowed to use it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and so that means before 8 a.m. there was no screen time, no using my phone. After 8 p.m. there was no using my phone, or at least like especially social media. But that so easily slips, like these
So
rules
easily.
so
So
easily
easily.
slip.
Yeah, you see a notification pop up, you have to respond to it. I
I
actually
think
have
the thing,
notifications off on Instagram.
oh no, for sure. I mean,
I'm right. There's
unbelievable.
like
Who
hundreds.
has their notifications from their
Some
social
people
media
do, I'm
coming through?
sure.
Turn that shit off. What if you
Literally, turn it off.
if you have your notifications coming
Yeah.
through from these apps made by Meta that
Yes.
are
Yes.
designed to grab you and bring you back on? Ludicrous. And the same, I mean, you alluded to it there, this constant bombardment of information, but the same with the news. My relationship with the news is very different now. But I mean, this could go down a whole different rabbit
Yeah.
hole, but
Good.
I have a rule that if it's not, I basically have a rule that, like, if it's still news in a week, then it's worth knowing about. Basically, like,
That's fair.
all of the news that comes through, the daily 24-hour cycle, that is new. That's not a thing that's been this 24-hour news cycle, this constant feed of news has not been a thing that's been around forever. You haven't supposedly needed to know everything that's going on everywhere in the world at all times. That's just, you're not clued up if you don't know every single piece of news. You're also, to bring it back to social media, you're not out of the loop if you don't know what's happening in running, or you don't know the latest strength training routine, or I don't know, or the latest study that's come out to prove something against zone 2 training, or it's just like, whoa, let's like
the latest shoe that came out, like all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But
I
we're
think
also sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're also not meant
yeah.
to be accessible 24/7
Yeah.
like with our cell phones. We're not meant for that. I don't know about you, but I put my phone on do not disturb, like on sleep mode when I go to bed. And people are like, "Well, what if something happens?" And I'm like, people are going to have to, I don't know, knock my door down if something happens. Like I'll find out about it in 6 hours. Like I'm not going to be if someone has passed away, then they will still be passed away in 6 hours. Like I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And emails as well.
Right.
I remember like my first job out of uni, out of college. Do a little translation for you there.
No, but I'm Canadian, so we call it uni too in Canada. I got both. Don't worry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, university. Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh out of uni, I had like a really intense sales job, and I was 21 and couldn't manage my emotions, so I was very stressed and like overwhelmed by it all. But I was very high functioning, and I was really hard working, and I, no joke, like I was working like 14-hour days, still training, running, gymming. I was going out with clients. I was sleeping about 4 hours a night sometimes, and
No.
really unhealthy. Drinking a lot, training a
Yeah.
lot, working a lot, sleeping not much.
Yeah.
And I mean, stress levels were extremely high. But I remember just being like, because every time a ping came through from my emails, like I had to be accessible at all times. I was, I would close deals at like 3 a.m. because I was selling to a certain type of
Right.
M&A bankers and lawyers, and they work incredibly hard and at all hours. And I needed to sell real quick sometimes. Anyway, I remember thinking to myself, like, there was a time when if you weren't in the office, you weren't accessible.
Yeah.
And now, like, my boss can just email me, and there's an
Yep.
expectation that I'm
Yep.
there and ready.
Yep.
Unbelievable. The
So
fact that we
unhealthy.
work in that, so unhealthy.
Yeah.
So unhealthy.
Yeah. I think a lot of that drives this hustle culture that we now see also in running, which I have been vehemently against since day one. And probably you too. Like, I feel like the people who have been runners for a long time realize, like, oh, that's actually not sustainable to constantly be pushing and constantly be working hard and constantly like that. You're going to burn out, get injured, XYZ if you keep going like that. And that
Well, I
hustle culture,
actually,
I think, is ugh.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah, go
funny.
ahead.
I've got a video. I've got a video
Oh,
actually ready to go out this evening.
yes. Love it. Perfect timing.
And the hook is hustle culture is bullshit. It's like,
That's amazing.
I mean, the real take I'm trying to make in that video is that,
Yeah.
to be successful at anything, you have to work really hard. And if you want to be successful with your running and your strength training or whatever, you have to
Yeah.
work incredibly hard. To get in incredible shape, you have to work very hard. You have to be
Yeah.
disciplined. It requires sacrifice, all this sort of
Yep.
stuff. To earn loads of money, to have a successful business, it requires loads of sacrifice, loads of hard work, loads of grind. But the
Yep.
one thing that you don't hear much of from the hustle culture bros or the grind everyday bros is the secret that they actually fucking love it. They love it.
Yeah.
They love the
It's true.
grind. They have
It's true.
somehow figured out how to love it, whether it came naturally or not. They
Yeah.
like getting up early in the morning. They like saying no to alcohol and being disciplined.
Yeah.
They like that identity. They like to run every day. They like to be able to show themselves that they are showing up every day. They've figured out a way to love the grind, and whether they
Yeah.
present that to you in that way, whether they say to you, I just love it, or they don't, and
Or
actually
they
they
don't
say,
and they just say, yeah.
I really worked hard and I deserve this because I
Right.
was disciplined and I sacrificed so
Right.
much. But the reality of the situation is, like, you wouldn't have sacrificed so much because, like, that some of the saddest situations are people who work really incredibly hard on their business or at work, and they sacrifice relationships.
That was
And
the next thing I was going to say is you don't know
yeah,
what they're sacrificing.
it's
And their
prioritization. That's what it is.
sacrifices, yeah, their sacrifices may not be things that you are willing to sacrifice. And sometimes that actually doesn't mean that they're working harder than you are. They're just working harder on different things. And I think a lot of people who have presented themselves in that way, like if you actually took a deeper look into their life, you wouldn't want to trade places with them. You wouldn't want their life because you don't have the same priorities as them. And something that they don't talk about often is their privilege too, right? They either, don't have to worry about putting food on the table from the beginning, or maybe they do, and maybe that's what drives them. Or they don't have kids. They don't have, things that they have to care for. They don't work 4 different jobs at the same time. So I think there's a lot that's left off of that. And at least from the people that I know, in order to constantly work hard and constantly make those sacrifices, you also kind of sacrifice your peace. And for me, peace is a priority. Like, I want peace, even if that means I don't run my fastest marathon. Okay? Like, I'm also not an elite athlete. That's not how I make my money. And I would rather have peace in my life versus the constant grind. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
But again, it's exactly what you said. It's different choices, and they love doing that. And you don't have to love doing that. Right? Like, that's how I feel, at least.
100%. And your approach has to be one that suits you, that works for
100%. Yes.
I mean, I'm all about sustainable training, and when I talk about sustainable training, I don't just mean make sure you're getting your strength training in. You know, that's a part of it. I also mean, you know, all of the programming needs to be sustainable. We need to think about how we can do this for a very long period of time, but also it's as much about how we think about our training as it is the training itself, right? It's as much about our perspective on what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And our self-talk and how we're approaching these things. So often, I mean, I only know this from experience. So often people will talk to me about how they're feeling, or I know this from my own experience. You're just down and out about your training. Like, I don't enjoy it. I can't see any real like purpose in this or whatever, or like I'm working too hard. I dread every training session. Something's wrong there. You can't. Yeah. You've got to figure out how to enjoy it.
Yeah. Usually when runners say that to me, that signals that a change has to be made. Whether that's, you know, if it's in running and just every run workout that you have on the calendar just makes you anxious, you don't want to do it, you're unmotivated. I usually say take a week off. Like, take a week off. Maybe don't do the race that's coming up. Maybe do something that's later. There will always be another race. But you don't have to, like, you know, push yourself so hard to the point where you're forcing motivation. I don't think that's how it works. I think that might work for a short time. But I don't know about you. When I first started strength training, I hated it. I didn't love it. And the way I got myself to love it is not by just going hard and doing like 5 sessions a week and be like, I'm going to force you to love this no matter what. I was like, you know what? I know it's beneficial. I'm going to start there. I know that it's going to help me. So let me do the bare minimum. I literally did the bare minimum for years. And then it just became part of my routine, part of my habits. And one day I was like, oh, I'm squatting more than I never have before. Let me see where I can take this. And you start to learn. I mean, some people don't. That's fine. But most people, when you see progress, when you see change happening, that can drive motivation. And I think that it doesn't have to happen from day one. But slowly, you know, very, very minimal dose and work your way up. And I think that's most effective, in my opinion.
100%. And with running as well, like when like people don't want to run because like running seems like really hard first and foremost, right. But also like runners, they train a lot. Like people who climbers, they be going climbing once a week,
right?
You know.
Right.
Maybe they like head out with their mates. They go for like a bit of bouldering once a week. And if you go climbing once a week, you're a keen climber.
Right.
You're well into it.
Yeah.
But if you're running once a week, you're not really into it. Apparently, you know, I'm using inverted commas there.
It's true.
So like running seems quite intimidating in that sense. But you can just go for like a 15-minute walk run. Start there.
Yes.
And then you can do it the next day because everyone's got 15 minutes.
Yeah. The walk run is so underrated. The walk run is such a phenomenal...
Let's have a chat about the walk run for a second.
It gets a lot of hate. It gets a lot of hate for reasons that I don't understand. I mean, I think people maybe see it as like, oh, well, that's not actually a run. I disagree. Not only is it a good way, like you mentioned, to get motivated, get into running, add more frequency to your calendar, it is a phenomenal way to rehab from an injury. Like to build load, to get yourself feeling a lot better, feeling more confident. And honestly, like one of the most underrated ways of looking at it is it gets you out and doing what you love again in a way that's safe. Because so many people who come back from an injury, they're just like, I need my time alone, my time outside. And then they do too much because they, start to feel a little bit better. Okay, let me start my running again. I need it. I need it again. And it goes a little bit too much. So the walk run is a great way to get everything out of the running that you need at that time. Mm-hmm. I still, like, even in some, I'm in my peak weeks of marathon training, after a really hard interval, I might walk for a minute, like just to kind of cool off and to like kind of reset my brain and be like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to keep going. Allowing myself to walk more on my runs has allowed me to run more, actually. Oh. So I think it's phenomenal.
There are so many reasons why it's good. Mm-hmm. I mean, you mentioned, I think probably the best one, it's a very specific one, but probably the best one is coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Or in a specific deload week where you have a niggle and you need to be careful.
Yes.
Or in a scenario where you just need to ease right back on the training, but you want your frequency to be up. Okay, replace one of the easy runs with a walk run.
Yes.
Maybe you don't want to do bloody cross training in the gym. I don't want to get on a static bike. I want to get out and hear the birds.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's fair.
Let's make it a walk run. Let's get a step count in then,
Yeah.
I don't know why is it that, we absolutely do not have to make the leap from walking around, getting your step count in, everything outside of your training, suddenly to your training being running from start to finish. So the first best reason has to be managing injuries, returning from injury, managing load, those sorts of scenarios. A second great reason is for people starting running. Like, one of the best things you can do if you're new to running is forget this idea that you have to run from start to finish. Mm-hmm. This whole, like, I couldn't run for the bus sort of thing, that people's experience of running is like, as soon as I start running, I'm exhausted. Well, just embrace the fact you're exhausted. Start running, stop it, and then start again, and then stop, and then start again. And like, just be out there moving. And then eventually you'll find a pace between your run and your walk that is your slow run.
Yes.
So
also a lot of people who are getting into running, for some reason, I don't know if you find the same, I find they're like stuck on like, I can't even run a mile. And it's like, do you know how long a mile is? 1,000 steps plus, right? A mile is long. Let's break that up to start with. I hear that all the time. Well, I couldn't even run a mile. I can't. Yeah, a mile is a long time if you haven't been running for a long time. So break it up. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself where you're thinking that this seemingly short thing is actually doable. Make it doable. Break it up. Maybe you're out there for a mile, but half of it is walking. Fine. You did it. You're one step closer. And kind of lowering that bar, I feel, is so necessary in so many instances when it comes to running. Like, from beginner to elite, lowering the bar is necessary because we don't have to have this pressure on us to like constantly compare, like you mentioned before, on social media and compete with everything. Sometimes we just have to find out where we're at and go from there.
When you're talking there, I was just thinking about how vast the spectrum of runners truly is.
Yes.
People don't appreciate how vast that is. When you think of these elite runners who rightfully so get a lot of attention because they're exceptional at what they do and it requires a lot of work to get there, they are so different and so much faster and train in a very different way from the other end of the spectrum, which is someone who is 38 years old, has never run in their life, and is just starting out. Unbelievably different. Yeah. Like you couldn't even. Right. I don't even know where to start on the differences. Right. Just so many. Yeah. And for someone who is just starting out, there are going to be far more people who are like that person who are just starting out. By the way,
100%.
Far more people. For that person, something like a walk run is phenomenal advice.
So good. Yeah.
And
also just walking too. Like
walking's great.
Like walking's underrated in my opinion too. So
big up walking.
Right.
I think walking's gonna have its day. I reckon.
I agree.
Give it a couple years, and I think walking's gonna be like. I think it's a bit of a I think there's a bit of a thing happening right now. I think I heard Jesse Itzler. Do you know Jesse Itzler?
No.
He's like. Kind of like famous serial entrepreneur dude, but married to the founder of Spanx.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Fun dude. Anyway, he owns All Day Running Company. He does all these like.
I know All Day Running Company. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he I think I heard him talking about walking, and he was like, "Someone start a walking business, or I will." You know.
Yeah. The benefits, huge. Walking is also a part of rehab for runners, by the way. Like it depended on, a runner that I work with after a bone stress injury, walking is the first thing we're doing. That's step one to get you to run again. So, yeah.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah.
And I just think we need to take the pressure off. I think the one thing that frustrates me the most in the running space, and one thing I wanted to sort of get onto, it's not only kind of this idea of comparison, but it talking about the sort of broad spectrum of runners out there. There are runners who don't realize they are like this, but there's a lot of elitism out there. And I think maybe the term elitism gets overused, but I'm using it anyway. I wrote a little Substack at one stage on the subtlety of elitism, and this idea that actually sometimes you don't know that you're breeding this elitism. You don't know that you're talking in this way until you really sort of like take a step back and review how you're speaking. But I think there's a real lack of appreciation for how broad the spectrum of runners there really is, and I think that means that you do have even the idea, and maybe some could argue that I'm using the term elitism too broadly, but even the idea that a walk run isn't a run, even that sort of language, would you say that's elitism?
100%. Yeah, I would, because it goes into the idea that you're not doing enough to be considered a runner. And I think that is, if you peel back the layers of elitism in the running community, that's at the base, right? Is that person has decided that X, Y, and Z is not enough to be considered a runner. And that's where it all stems from, right? If you don't run a marathon in under 6 hours, you didn't run a marathon, right? It's not good enough. Even though there are people running the marathon, finishing in 6 hours and 30 minutes. And you're going to tell them that they didn't run a marathon. They just did it. Maybe they walked a bit. I've walked a bit in my sub-4 marathon too. So is that not a marathon either, right? It's like, where's the line? Where's the bar? And why do you get to decide what's not enough? But the problem is those opinions are so loud and also very hurtful, I think, because who are you to say it? I don't see elite runners saying that ever, by the way. Maybe I'm missing something, but I've never seen an elite runner say, if you did a walk run, that's not really a run. So
that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You do. It's funny because like, I think I feel like I've been reading The Courage to Be Disliked recently. I don't know if you know this book, but it's really
I
interestingly.
should read that.
Yeah, it's
That's something
fascinating.
I should. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I picked it up because of the title, but you get so much more from it. And basically, it's done like this conversation between a philosopher and a youth, and so it's cleverly done that way because
Yeah.
basically this youth kind of meets up with the philosopher, and it's a bit of an it's a bit like of a difficult conversation. The philosopher is posing all of these controversial ideas that kind of go against what you think you know about psychology. And then the youth is sort of battling back, and it's at times it's sort of your own voice, like the youth is saying what you want to ask the philosopher. So it's very clever. So
Right.
but he's talking about like Adler, this psychologist, at a similar time of like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. We know of all of this kind of like trauma-based psychology, and anyway, it sort of dives deeply into all of that. And a very key fundamental part of this idea in Adler's like psychology is this idea of inferiority, that all your problems are interpersonal problems. And actually this sort of fundamental truth about kind of a lot of us is that we feel inferior.
Yeah.
And as I'm reading this like passage, it reminds me of a lot of people in the running space, and sometimes myself included, where you want to shoot other people down for no good reason. You want to shoot other people's successes down. You want to shoot like, you know, their or seemingly whatever their like goals are, or however whatever successes they're having or whatever's happening, you feel like it impacts you in some way. There's this like this feeling of inferiority, and so you have to project that basically.
Right.
And I don't want to just say this because like it's easy to have a go at the elitists and be like, you're just insecure, because that's an easy one. But I do think it comes from a deep place of inferiority, or the sense that they're inferior in some way.
Yeah. It's almost like a fear. Like it's almost like they're scared to be labeled the way that they see others. So if they label first, then they're able to take control of the situation. But I feel inferior all the time. I think that even the title of that book, The Courage to Be Disliked, is something that like I almost need to like write it down and like look at it every day, because I think I do too much to be liked sometimes. I think I've lived that way my whole life. I think even, it goes back to childhood with that, to where, I'm grateful for where I am, but I think a lot of it I did so that I could get acknowledgement from my parents and for them to be proud of me. It goes deep. There's a lot of layers to that, and we all kind of feel that. It's just how you act on it and how you take it. But I think I need to learn to be disliked more. And that it's okay.
to be comfortable with that.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to like me to begin with. So why don't I just be me?
Someone said to me recently, they were quoting, I think, something, but and in agreement with a point I made or something, but it really hit home. They were like, the quote went something like, why are you trying so hard to be liked by everyone when you don't like everyone?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Right. Exactly.
Why would you expect everyone to like you?
Right.
If you don't like everyone else?
Yeah.
You may be fond of most people, but there are some people you don't like.
Totally. And that's normal.
There are some people you don't like for no good reason.
Yeah.
And so you should be okay with other people feeling that way about you.
Totally.
Getting the wrong impression about your content, judging you based on what you're doing, projecting their own inferiority on their perception of you and how they feel about you. It's okay. I made a post recently that was like trying to play on the kind of like hater comments idea of like posting hater comments or whatever. So I like posted quotes. It was like in inverted commas each line. So it sort of looked like there were hater comments, you know, like who's going to listen to you or like, you know, this sort of stuff. But they were all like my own thoughts, right? And the message essentially is that most of the hate is internal. Most of what you think is like hate coming in. It's actually just all in your own head.
Yeah.
And any other hate that comes your way isn't your problem anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know if you used to do this, but I used to do this with my content where before I posted something, I would be like, okay, what would people say if they were going to hate this? And then I would write already in the caption, if you're thinking of it this way, blah, 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 like all of this stuff. And it's like, why am I going this far? And then I would never even get comments like that. So it's like, why in my head am I already thinking these type of people are not going to like this piece of content for this reason? Why am I even pandering to them? Like, just do my own thing. So now I have thankfully moved past that a little bit on social media. I've grown. I also don't respond as much as I used to. But it's never easy. It's never easy. Let's just put it that way. It's never easy to receive hate in any situation, but also on social media. I don't know why it cuts differently.
I agree. And I do also agree that social media can be very hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you this because I'm very grateful for social media. I
agree.
I think it's given me a lot, and it's been I've engaged with loads of people, and I'm eternally grateful for social media. So I will talk negatively about it occasionally because it is a dangerous it's a dangerous thing, and I think we need to be aware of that. But what has social media, like imagine sort of Victoria having never done social media, and today's Victoria who has done social media and done very well with it. What have you learned and are you grateful for? Whether those are hard lessons learned or whether they are just successes learned and things about psychology or whatever it is. Yeah. What have you taken from social media? What has social media given you?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is I'm extremely grateful for the path that social media has taken me on. When I originally started my social media page, I was at a place in my career, in my profession, that I just felt lost a bit. I didn't entirely like what I was doing. And, you know, I'd been to physical therapy school, been to college, like did the whole thing. And I was like 4 years into my first job out of school and I was unhappy. And if not for social media, I would have probably still been in a similar, I mean, I would have hopefully I could have somehow gotten my way out, but I wasn't happy with how things were in the physical therapy space, in the profession that I was in New York City, outpatient physical therapy, 15 to 20 patients per day. So I will forever be grateful for social media for kind of starting the career path that I'm on now. I'm also very grateful for social media for giving me a creative outlet that I don't think I ever knew I needed. I've always considered myself like a very, you know how people put them in, I already put ourselves into boxes with the, like introvert, extrovert thing. But I also feel like people sometimes put themselves into boxes where you're either creative or you're like good at math and science. You know what I mean? And I think I'd always been put into that box where it's like, she's good at math and science. Like I can't draw. I'm not an artist. And I don't think I realized how much creative juices you need for social media and how much I enjoy that process. To this day, 5 years down the road of me having my platform, like yes, exactly what you said. There are bad things about social media. I am not happy with it many times, but I love content creation. Even if it gets, to be a lot, and I complain about that too, it can feel like a full-time job. But I feel very creative in that way. And it has really brought out my creativity, and I'm very grateful for that. So, something that I didn't even expect, but I love it.
When I say I'm proud that Soar is sponsoring this podcast, I mean I'm proud because it is a brand that offers the most premium products that you can buy for running. They have become very well known to be the best. There's a full spectrum of running kit you can get out there, from the cheapest, most bog standard stuff all the way to the premium stuff. Soar is very much on that premium side. As soon as you put on a Soar t-shirt or just use any of their stuff, you realize why the price tag is where it is. They really care about their production, they care about the quality of the fabrics they're using, and they clearly care about how they feel when you run. So go get yourself a treat at soarrunning.com, SOAR running.com, if you feel like you deserve it. You have to be creative on it. I mean, like a lot of people talk about sort of the psychology of social media, and you have to understand people and to be successful at it and all that sort of stuff. But also it's fundamentally a creative endeavor. It is fundamentally something creative. And creativity and art is just communication, actually. Art is just communication. It is just a way of communicating. And so if we sort of try and use that broad term of art, it's an expression, but it's also like, for the most part, you're trying to express something, you're trying to communicate something, you're trying to get something from inside of you out, right? That is the case. That is the case when it's educational content as well. It is the case,
right?
Even if it's like simple, even if it's like a simple bit of text overlaid like on a something, but you're putting like music over it, and like there is still this creative kind of, you're trying to create a vibe in that video. Even I do videos where I like run, I run and talk to the camera. Even the way that's cut up, I think, is creative. Like I'm
100%.
I'm very specific about like how quickly it's cut, how like where the cuts happen, and like there's so much specificity to it. I couldn't delegate it. Like it's so specific. And I think I don't think it's delegatable, because I believe it's creative ultimately, and I believe that creativity is the character through which I'm communicating, and that has to come from me.
I agree.
Like anyone who's getting into social media, you can of course like copy trends and you can plagiarize. There's a lot of that. But if you really want to be satisfied from it, you have to create content for yourself, right? Like in some ways, you have to tune into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always known that I'm creative. I've always kind of been someone who is a drawer. I've always drawn and painted and done these things.
Love that.
So I've always felt like a creative person. But once I was in the working world or whatever, I never had that creative outlet, and social media has been an amazing creative outlet for me as well.
Yeah, I didn't feel that when I was working at my job. I didn't feel, and I think that's why I felt lost. I don't think I realized it at that time. Like I couldn't navigate that world the way that I wanted to. And kind of like what I was mentioning before, I am quite extroverted. I do really enjoy that communication piece with anyone. Like, and I think that's why I became a physical therapist, because I love getting to know people, talking to people. And that is what I get from my Instagram page, from social media in general, that I really love. And I don't know if I could go off social media for that reason. Like I would miss talking to people. I really would if I did that. So
you have this battle, towards the beginning of this conversation, you were saying how you sometimes struggle. It sometimes drains you.
Does.
And I get that, fully get that. It can be very draining, but it's also given you so much. So it's like,
exactly.
how do we balance these things?
Yeah. I think a lot of things are like that.
Isn't it?
I think a lot of things are like that. You can get a lot of positives from something, and it can still be like, I think people are very stuck on, this experience has to be only positive for it to be beneficial. And I just don't think life works that way. Like, I think there's a lot of positives and negatives happening all the time. And it's just like what you said. I love that word balance. It's like how you balance it and what you take from it. That is the most important. And to be honest, like, I think it's important to recognize the negative pieces in things, because if you also try and block that out and you try and be like, nope, I'm only focused on the positive things, like, that's draining to me. If I only focus on positive things, I'm like, this doesn't feel real. Like, this is not, because I have a great relationship with my mother. I think she's an amazing woman, but she's very like that. She's like, well, let's focus on the positives. And I think as a child, I was always like, but I don't feel that way. Like, that's not real to me. Like, I have to talk about the negatives, and I have to be able to express myself in that way in order to appreciate the positives as well. So I think that's important.
Yeah. I think about that a lot, like with running as well.
Yes.
It's quite easy. I think it's quite, I don't know if you feel this as a coach, but it's quite easy for me to try and tell people to see the positives in things, or to flip the attitude, and like, be grateful and see, recognize the privilege you have to do this, and like, change the script. But sometimes it's okay to just be like, this sucks.
Right.
And to just be okay with that. Like, this does suck. And sometimes it does suck.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is hard. It's really hard. And that's why sometimes on social media I try and talk a little bit about, like, my struggles, or I'll talk about, like, I'm going on a run, but like, I don't want to. This is the last thing I want to do, is go for a run right now. Like, all I want to do is just chill at home, have a beer, and watch Netflix. I've had a stressful, long day. I don't want to be going out for a run just because, like, I missed it this morning because this, that, and the other. It's the last thing I want to do. Obviously, there's a lot that can be said for just doing the thing. You always feel better after a run, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's worth just embracing the truth that sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you feel resentful of things, and it's not always going to be easy, but there's value in it being hard. And actually, the value in it being hard is not, like, you can obviously try and make things easy, but the value in it being hard means it actually has to be hard.
It should be both.
Yeah.
You should have easy and hard.
Yeah.
And having the two and balancing appropriately is really where it's at. I had a client that I'm coaching. They had a horrible race, just not what was expected, not what the training plan had given them confidence to do.
Yeah.
And this was the first time where I told them, like, okay, take the night, take the next day, and feel upset. Allow yourself to sit in that. The day after, let it go. Let's get moving. But take the time. My sister's a psychologist. She's one of the smartest people I know. And I'll never forget when she told me, because I would tell her, once you know a psychologist, you tell them all their problems. So I would tell her, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I get so anxious about these things that I can't go to sleep. And she said, give yourself a time to think about those things. Say, okay, tonight, 2 a.m. is probably not the time. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 9:30, I'm going to think about these anxious things. Give yourself that time. Once 9:30 hits, moving on from them. And that was like life-changing to me. You know what? I never even lost a night's sleep after that, because it was like, okay, tomorrow, right now is not the time that I should be spending time on these anxiety-giving thoughts. I'm going to give myself the time to think through this. It's not going to be right now. And giving yourself that time, allowing that time to happen, it kind of frees you. It kind of frees you from those thoughts. So I've really adopted that quite a lot. I mean, it's hard. It's not easy. But it's just like what you said. Let the hard be hard, and then let the easy be easy.
Yeah. It reminds me of like when you're talking there about like waking up in the middle of the night and having all these anxieties. Yeah. I had really bad insomnia when I was like a teenager. Anyway, someone important to me told me that when I was having this insomnia, at one stage it was like 3 nights of no sleep at one stage, so it was really bad. And I was just really highly anxious about a particular thing, and clearly, and basically I was told to when I'm lying there and not able to sleep, they said to me like at least just recognize at least you're lying there, at least your body's getting rest, and just be okay present with the fact that you're not sleeping. Like it's okay, it's all right, it's fine.
Don't force it.
And the first night I really tried to think like that. The first night where I was just like it's whatever. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. This is it. I'm just not going to be sleeping. I fell asleep. I was chilling. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because I think we can get worked up about our worked upness.
That is like the definition of me.
we can get panicked about the fact we're panicked. We can get anxious about the fact we're anxious. We can feel guilty about all these things, and feel even more negative about the fact that we feel these things. And sometimes people have said to me like, I feel bad because like I shouldn't really feel this way. And it's like, well, you're feeling this way, so like I don't know. Stop feeling bad about your privilege. Stop feeling bad about your the fact you're ungrateful or whatever. Like you're feeling the way you're feeling, and you're just a human going through emotions. It doesn't matter why you're going through these emotions.
Exactly. You don't need a reason for everything.
Some people have really bad scenarios to them, like a situation that's really bad to them, but objectively there are worse situations in the world. And then they feel guilty about feeling bad about that situation.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah. And
like in running, I mean, for you, I love this story about like you have a bad race and then just revel in it. I had a DNF this year, and I was so sad about it. But I do remember just being like, I'm just gonna let myself feel bad about this. This sucks.
Feel it.
And I felt it. And you go through, you look it in the face, and you go through it, and you face the fact that it sucks, but then you move on.
Move on, and it allows you to move on when you feel it that way. One of the things that I'm currently struggling with, it's been challenging for quite some time for me, is in a hard workout when I'm running hard. Yeah, I quit too easily. Because it's exactly what you described. It feels hard, and that feeling of hard makes me panicked. And then me getting myself panicked, I'm like spiraling. I can't do this. I'm so slow. And then I end up it's like my legs do it without me even thinking about it. I just stop. And that has been something I've struggled with for a very long time, I think, for many reasons. So one of the things that I've been working on, I go to a therapist myself, and she has helped me a lot with this. But the first piece is actually distraction. It sounds crazy, but distraction, I think, is what is going to help me also come to terms with hard is hard, because I won't let myself get to that panicky state. So what I do is, if I'm doing a workout, hitting the paces that I want to be hitting, and then I start to, feel this is hard, I don't know if I can maintain this. I do grounding techniques. So I look for like 5 things that are orange in color, and I point them out to myself. Oh, there's an orange cone, there's an orange door, there's a dog with an orange collar, and I just say that in my mind. And I have found that is an immediate effect in bringing my heart rate down and allowing that initial feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm panicked, this is so hard, I don't want to do this, why am I doing this, all of those negative thoughts. And then I get into, oh, this is hard, okay, it's hard, but I'm in it, and I just had to prove to myself that I could stay in it with distraction first. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's what's helped me. So I think in the moment sometimes it's hard. Yeah.
I tell you why it doesn't sound crazy. Sound crazy.
Yeah.
Because, well, firstly, it's interesting that you say that, because like the discomfort you're experiencing on this hard effort is not as bad as the reaction to the discomfort.
Totally.
Ever.
Totally.
Right? So your reaction to the discomfort makes the discomfort worse. And so what you're doing by distracting yourself is actually what, firstly, a lot of elite athletes do very, very well in these hard efforts.
Yeah, naturally. Yeah.
But they're not trying. They might not even necessarily be trying to distract. That's your method to get to where you need to get to.
Exactly.
And where you need to get to is the same place that freedivers get to when they're 70
That's
meters
another
down.
level. Oh my gosh. That's true.
They cannot panic. And they're in a lot of discomfort, a lot more discomfort than someone doing threshold intervals, a lot more discomfort. And do you know what they need to do? They need to relax.
Yeah.
They need to chill. They cannot think. If they think, they're fucked.
Right.
If they panic, they are screwed.
Yeah.
When you're free diving, I've done a very small amount of it, but when you're free diving,
you have? Oh my gosh.
Very
That's
small
like
amount.
My fear.
It's insane. It's an insane thing to be doing. But my instructor actually just yesterday got to 80 meters in competition. 80 meters underwater.
That's so scary. I mean, I've seen all the documentaries, and I'm like flabbergasted. I honestly, this conversation is making me want to watch them again.
Honestly, next level. But the
next level.
Yeah. The point is that they have to relax, and that's the same for. There's life lessons.
Same for endurance athletes.
It's the same for endurance athletes. In order to, these elite marathon runners, they are relaxed, but they're in a lot of discomfort, but they're relaxed in this zone. You don't run a 2:02 without being relaxed. You have to be relaxed, and it's whatever method gets you there. Whether it's a body scan, whether it's reframing this idea of discomfort in your head, whether it's some sort of way to face the actual physical discomfort and try and rid yourself of the thoughts attached and narrative attached to that discomfort. All of these things.
It's finding
it's
peace.
Just simply
it's
distracting.
Finding calm. Yeah, it's finding calm. It's finding peace.
Whatever.
That's what it is. But that's exactly like that is the avenue that I personally have to take currently in where I am, because I'm not very good at it yet. I hope to one day just find that calm. Actually, you know what's interesting now that I think about it? I find that calm very easily when I'm running on the track. And
really?
It's so I did a workout literally yesterday on the track. And it was like, what was it? 6 times 2 minutes at like a faster than threshold, and then 20 minutes at threshold. And at first I was like, should I just go do the 20 minutes, out and back on the sidewalk? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay on the track. Best 20-minute threshold I've ever had in my life. And I think it's because the track lets me stay in it. Like, I think some of my panicky, some of my panicky feelings come from, I'm turning a corner, I'm coming to a stop sign, what am I going to do? Stop my watch, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the track takes that out.
Less to think about. Yeah.
There's also something about, someone one time was telling me a book about circular motions can be very calming. And I think there's something about that with me too. It's like, there's something about just kind of repetitiveness and doing the same thing. Some people find it to not be that way, but for some reason I find it extremely calming. And I can feel my heart rate is like 10 beats less than when I'm out doing my workout on the sidewalk. And I've been trying to channel that feeling, like every time I'm on the track and I feel that, like, the only way to describe it is calmness and peace when I'm doing a hard workout. I'm like, okay, how does this feel? What am I thinking about? How can I bring this out to the road? Because obviously I joked with my coach yesterday I should do a track marathon, but I'm not going to do a track marathon. That would probably be a little too much. But like, how can I translate that onto the road? And I think the track, again, is another avenue. It's a stepping stone for me to get in that headspace, to learn how to do that a little bit more, because I really struggle with that on the road, for sure.
Yeah, it's that flow state you're looking for.
The flow state. It's the flow state.
Yeah.
It really is peaceful.
I try and meditate in the mornings, and as part of that meditation practice, I do very basic breath work.
Yeah.
But part of the breath work is holding my breath, and similar to free diving, I'm trying to so I do push up. I do this very unconventional thing where I do push-ups
while holding your breath.
No, I do push-ups until I don't want to, and then I'll sit there and let my body sort of calm down, and then when I feel like it, I'll hold my breath. This is very uncomfortable, but then what I'm trying to do is lean into that discomfort.
You have to sit in it,
and like when I feel it, then it's really sitting in it. Then I'm forcing myself to relax.
Yes.
And then what you're doing is you are face to face with your internal narrative. You're face to face with this dialogue you're having with yourself to let go. There's something very easy on the other side of letting go, but you have to face the thoughts, and those thoughts are stop, this sucks, it's like, this is why you're doing this, all this sort of stuff. And the more you practice that every morning, the more you practice this desire to face and give yourself agency and relax and recognize it's not a big issue. Funnily enough, you find this sort of real place of calm in that moment, which I think is really interesting. I think
I need to start doing that.
Places.
That's a really good practice, because when else am I finding myself in that type of discomfort?
Yeah.
Like I honestly don't know. Like, holding my breath is probably the closest I would come to feeling that.
It's a super easy way to do it. Yeah.
It also goes back to I played tennis when I was much younger, and I think that weirdly tennis is it's different than running. You don't really get to that point of, wow, this is like so hard and you have to keep going. I was trying to tell one of my friends who I grew up playing tennis with, like, this marathon training journey that I'm on, I have never pushed myself so hard. And I was pretty solid in tennis. Like, I was a good tennis player. And I have never had to go to those deep, deep depths of challenge of like pushing through that level of discomfort with that sport. And it's just so interesting when you said like holding your breath. That's like the only thing that, and probably like just swimming in general, like really hard cardiovascular endurance sports, also the same. But I'm not a cyclist. I'm not a swimmer. So I really like that. I'm going to try that. Thank you for that. That's very interesting.
Well, it's a big, I mean, for me, running, and we'll land this plane at some stage, but for me, running, it's never been about the performance, although I want to get better and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it's been about this idea of going and doing something hard and overcoming some suffering, essentially. And it's not this like masochistic obsession, glorification of suffering. It's really, I don't think it's not that. It's this, it's an idea of, I mean, I've always had battles in my head, and I've always been intrigued about the mind. I've always been fascinated by all that stuff. And so if I have any practice in the morning where I'm interested in finding discomfort, same with my strength training, I'm finding discomfort. I'm playing
in a
with
different
this
way.
I'm playing with this kind of like relationship I have with discomfort. How much am I okay with it? How much am I
totally
comfortable being uncomfortable?
I think what you're also saying, and this is a thought that I've had very recently on my runs, it's like it's really cool to see what you can do as a human.
Yeah.
I just have randomly been like out on my run, and I'll be like, it's so cool that my 2 legs got me 10 miles away from home, and now I'm going to just run back. Like, it's just such a simple thought, but it is really cool to test yourself in that way. Nothing to do really with like suffering and masochism and all that. It's just like, whoa, the human body, the appreciation for the human body. That's what it's all about for me, at least. And those are the thoughts that I've been having.
I don't usually finish with like, I don't have like a question I ask every guest or anything like that, because I don't have heaps of guests on, but maybe this can become one. But I am always interested, if it hasn't explicitly come up in the conversation, the classic question of why you run. Why are you a runner, and why do you run?
Yeah, I'm actually going to quote our mutual friend, Josh. Literally one of his posters that I have purchased now, chaos turns to peace when I run. When I saw that, I was like, whoa. Such a simple thing, but like so emblematic of what running is for me and how it has been. I'm like almost tearing up talking about it. Like chaos literally turns into peace when I run. And that's beautiful. Like that's what keeps me going out there every time. So,
there are some people who are just really easy to talk to. It was an absolute pleasure chatting away with Victoria. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. You can find Victoria's Instagram at TrainSmartRunStrong and her coaching services at trainsmartrunstrong.com. To support the podcast, just engage with it, share it, like it, rate it, let the algorithms know there's stuff going on here and you want to see more of it. You can follow That's Runnable on Instagram at That's Runnable. Drop us a message there, or email me, Tommy at that'srunnable.com. Or if you want to feature on a future listener questions, there's a link in the show notes. Record a 1-minute voice note and we'll have you on a future episode. That's it today. Run the runnable, keep showing up for yourself, and I'll see you next time.